Welcome to the Awaken Heart Podcast. I'm your host, Nancy Walters. Get ready to create magic and miracles as you lean into your heart's desires. I believe not only does the heart want what it wants, but it knows. This show is a weekly deep dive into what it means to live from an awakened heart. I'll be sharing inspiring stories and real conversations with people just like you, who have turned the ordinary into the extraordinary. My mission is to show you how you too can be connected and heart-centered in every area of your life. Your journey to aligning with more love, more joy, and your wildest dreams come true starts now. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Awaken Heart Podcast. I'm your host, Nancy Walters, and today is a solo episode. It's been a minute since I've hopped on the microphone and just had a chat or a conversation or really working out, really what I'm seeing that's happening in the world. And everyone that's been listening to this knows that I started this podcast in the middle of what was known as the global COVID pandemic, and where I initially thought it was just a slowdown, and, I thought, the world was cooling off and it was good. It was a spiritual thing. But as time went by and I really clearly saw what was happening, and throughout the last couple of years, my eyes have awoken to a whole lot of things that I believe to be true, or I was just oblivious to. It really turned the world upside down for me. And I know a lot of people across the world are really waking up because things were so in our face and so upside down, like just doesn't make sense. And a lot of people are kind of questioning things themselves as well. So when I first started down that path, there were so many things that just didn't make sense. At first, I thought it was, let us get past this whole V narrative and the CV. Let's get past that. I don't need to know about anything else. But as time went on, I learned about so many other things, and I've been kind of putting off getting in front of the microphone and, talking about this because I didn't really quite know how to talk about some of the things that I've been seeing happen on the world stage, really, that seems to be intensifying lately, without leaving us disempowered. I wanted to leave us empowered and not delve in too much of the negative agendas that we see playing out before us, that, there's so much divisiveness happening out there, more than I've ever seen before. There's so much propaganda. There's so much lies in the media. It's really, really insane. But how to bring this to us where we can really be empowered, come away feeling good that we have the power to create change without going out there, without having to, you don't actively have to, pick it in the street or do anything radical. That change really occurs when we awaken and we do things to empower ourselves, to change ourselves, to speak up, not be afraid to, really go against the grain of what we are being told is acceptable or normal. There's a lot being shoved down our throats right now, and I am not okay with this. And I intend to be a change maker and a way shower for others to have the courage to really speak up for what is right and to really, take the time to really do some to dive into the depths of ourselves and to really clear away everything that might keeping us from using our own voice, or to really diving into our own power and seeking our own truth. Because when we do that, we create some new beautiful realities and we align with a whole new timeline. And, we help others do the same. We help to create change one person at a time. And one of the things that I've really seen happen that's been really enraging me, and it really triggers me. I mean, when we get triggered, there's things that we need to heal within ourselves and with our own being. And I've had to reflect on that a lot lately. And one of the things that I'm not okay with, and I will speak up about, is what's happening to women. I'm seeing women being attacked left and right, even though they're saying it's for women's rights. It really isn't. It's meant to keep us down because there is a whole rising of the divine feminine. The feminine is rising. And what does that mean? That means that we are moving away from patriarchy. I don't know if I say that word right, the patriarchy. And that doesn't mean the feminist where we have to keep the men down and we need to erase men. No, we need really strong masculine men, but we need a softening within these men as well. And that doesn't mean to change your gender or anything like that. It's to you really honor the feminine within all of ourselves. And that feminine is intuition, it's flow, it's grace, it's unity. And the male structure is more dominant, more linear, more, it's a whole different construct. And so we're seeing a lot of change happening, and it's meant to keep us down because, if we have all these unity and peace and people realizing how powerful we really are, the whole system and the whole matrix crumbles. So I used to do a program. I felt inspired to relaunch it again. It was Unlocking Feminine Power. And that was more the lunar feminine, and which I've learned about recently. And lunar feminine is like the reflection of the moon, where she's more receptive, she's more flow, she's more grace, beauty, the nurturing energy, like a mother, a goddess, a graceful goddess. But I've been so angered over the last couple of years over what is happening in the world and what I'm seeing play out, that I didn't feel really aligned with the divine feminine energy. And I got so wrapped up in work and busy, and learning how to deal with everything that I've learned over the last couple of years, where my whole world is upside down. All these things that I've seen, that I've learned about, that has made me really enraged and really angry. But I've learned also about the solar feminine, which is more the masculine, feminine energy that is intrinsic to the divine feminine. And that's who I am. And that's who I've embodied in the last couple of years. And I've been making it wrong. So the solar feminine is, she's a solar goddess. And she is one who is going to help us through the next phase of our transition. I mean, the world is going through a huge change. And with this feminine goddess, she is both nurturing and courageous, and will bring us a lot of comfort during these final phases of our transmutation. We can all feel her strength in our hearts and in our joy in our souls as we bring in this new golden age of peace. Now, the solar feminine is a creative, passionate, focused, pulsating, and radiant feminine energy that is needed on this planet at this time. And it's an energized feminine that is fueled by compassion and purpose and creates powerful, positive change without war. We're seeing, war left and right and divisiveness, and we need the solar feminine. That's what I felt, because I've been so, like I said, enraged and I've been wanting to wake up the world, and I've been mad, and I'm like, how am I don't feel very feminine. I feel very angry all the time. I feel very masculine in my energy, but that was still part of being a divine feminine. So we have masculine and feminine energies within us, and now the masculine energy of the feminine is coming out to create change. The more lunar qualities of the feminine, intuition, listening, nurturing, tending, have become strong and prevalent during this time. And women have hidden their power in these beautiful gifts of the divine feminine for thousands of years because we've been persecuted. We've been quite literally burned at the stake. We've been killed and tortured because of it. Now we must stop being invisible with these gifts and learn to use our masculine energies to bring them forth into the world. In truth, a woman putting an end to war between the nurturing and receptive qualities of her lunar feminine and the fierce and fiery qualities of her solar feminine is the first step. And she must learn to integrate these two. And you can be tender and strong at the same time. And that is something that I've really realized. And, it really propelled me to hop on the mic and really talk about these things and really to bring back working on a program that I've had in development for the last couple of years that I kind of set aside because unless I'm really embodying what I am trying to teach others, I just can't do it. But the thing is I've been embodying her the whole time. And it's just another part of the whole. And it's funny because when I was doing the Unlocking Feminine Power, I was teaching more from the lunar feminine energy. Of course, I had talked about and taught about, working with our shadows, but I really didn't fully understand it in the totality. And that is what the last 2 years have taught me is I had those masculine energies. I was really wrapped up in those masculine energies. Now I'm balancing the two again. It's great because it seems like I get to be a change agent, a catalyst, a cauldron stirrer, a crucible, and in addition, I get to be all that from a soft feminine place, living in harmony with the masculine energies that are, running through my veins right now. I also get to embody wholeness and be a living example of what's possible when a woman is willing to face her demons and then hug them and welcome them home. And with that, we have the shining masculine in all his powerful glory, bringing a spirit of collaboration, compassion, and creativity because we need the masculine. We need strong masculine men, but we also need men that are receptive to their feminine energy, or else we are going to destroy this planet. So divine masculine and feminine energies. Now, the difference between the feminine, power structures have been in place to keep her down because the conflict and divisiveness the overbearing masculine continues to create are keeping the dark realm alive and kicking. The feminine is a threat to its very existence, and that's all the systems, all the man-made structures coming from the dark masculine side. So as women, we carry the life code inside of us, and we're wired to protect life. Men don't carry the life code inside them. They are not concerned with the inner workings that allow an organism to sustain life and consciousness. We are literally portals to life. We're able to carry children. We birth children. We carry them in our wombs. We nurture them from our breasts, and we raise them into life. We literally are portals to the other dimensions. We are a creative force. It's amazing. I really honor women in all their beautiful glory. The life code is what allows women to sense quantumly, operating on multi-dimensions simultaneously. And the matrix is the systems. The matrix is the darkness. That's what's at play that we're seeing play out on our 3D reality right now. And the matrix knows this, and it wants the feminine offline to service. They don't want us tapped into our feminine power, which is why it infiltrates the minds of men and manipulates them into believing the feminine energy is weak. There was a time when societies where women were held as sages and seers, and people went to her for advice. There was wise women, there were goddesses. We had high places in society, and we worked collaboratively together. We worked collaboratively. Each respected the other. And then, around the time, I believe, biblical times, when this whole other power structure came to work, women were held down because of the power that she had and that they all knew that we had. And the darkness knows that if women were in power, and emotions and intuition were valued and respected in our society, then we as a collective would sense the distortions, which is happening now, and the imbalances in the system, and we would tear the whole thing down and redo it in a loving and sustainable way. Women are wired for peace and inclusivity. Our women, our lineage, creators, carry life in our wounds, and like I said, we're portal to other dimensions we nurture from our bodies. The masculine is wired to be separate and competing for resources rather than unified. The masculine tends to hoard, the feminine gives. The feminine is nature. Earth is a feminine planet. It's distinctly feminine spirit of Gaia. What is happening now is because the imbalance between the masculine and feminine has reached a crescendo. We now have an opportunity to tear down our already societal constructs and to re-envision them through the lens of the feminine. To do this, we must first foster the feminine in ourselves. We have to, and this is men as well, we do this by balancing the masculine and the feminine in our own beings. And we do this by raising our emotional intelligence and empowering ourselves as quantum creators in a living universe of infinite abundance. The feminine aspects that men need to tap into is emotional intelligence, peace, compassion, collaboration, and unity. And what I'm seeing play out right now, it seems like the women are being attacked on purpose. It's the erasing of the feminine because they know that we are the next stage to ascend and rising and to change our planet. So what's happening is we're seeing this whole push, this whole gender push that's happening, and this whole LGBTQ, I don't even know all the pronouns, and not being able to use words like, mother. It just hurts my head. It just makes no sense. I mean, we're not chest feeders. We're not birthing people. We've earned our right throughout the years. We've bled, we menstruate, we carry the children in our wounds to be diminished and not really honored for who we are as women. And we're seeing men in sports. I mean, a woman got the shit kicked out of her in boxing. Like, there's physical, biological differences in men that are always going to beat a woman in physical sports. I mean, it's not fair to a woman to train her whole life and have some man come in and beat her. And then we're seeing Women of the Year in their men, which should actually go to a woman. No matter how you identify, it should go to a biological woman. And I have no problem with somebody that wants to be whatever they want to be happy. But we are seeing it infiltrate into things that should actually belong to women. I mean, what's next? Are we going to see them in women's abuse centers where they've been victimized and abused by, a spouse or a partner? And then all of a sudden there's a man in a women's shelter. Where do we go to feel safe? There's got to be a line drawn. So I'm a huge advocate for women and their rights. And like I said, I have no problem if you want to, feel like you're a woman, but there's a whole political agenda that's behind this. And they're going after children as well, confusing them from an early age to make them soft and pliable so the next generation can be easily and more controlled. And they're going after the nuclear family. And also, if we have all these soft men that aren't masculine anymore. And I've talked earlier about we do need soft feminine energies in the men, masculine men, but that doesn't mean just putting a dress on it. So these are really important things that need to be talked about and addressed. And people are being demonized and canceled, and they're afraid to talk about it because they don't want to be sound like they're, hate crimes or it's hate speech or something like that. No, we're seeing this playing out right now because this whole gender push is playing itself in our culture as a reflection of the inner masculine and feminine imbalance. There's an extreme imbalance. And instead of seeking to understand and connect with those that hold different beliefs from ours, we separate ourselves from them and we shame and scorn them and make them our enemies. anyone that speaks up against this. And identity itself is actually a construct. These constructs are actual bullshit because the aesthetic identity goes against the whole of life, which is always moving and always in flow. And one of the things that we're seeing, which is a great change, is there's been a horrible regime that's been in power in Iran for decades. And it's really disempowered women. Like, really, women are just nothing more than commodities and they have zero rights. And what just happened out there is these corrupt systems are crumbling. And there was a young woman that was just murdered in Iran for wearing her headscarf incorrectly. She was taken in by the morality police and she was beaten to death horribly. And it's resulting in protests all over Iran. And we're seeing men actually sticking up for women, and they've had enough as well too. So people that I know that have lived there have said they've never seen that. So I know there've been uprisings before and they've been quelched, but I really hope they succeed. I know the internet's been cut, so they're trying to keep us from seeing this, but I really hope that things change over there. We've also got a prime minister of Italy that's supposed to be voted in, and she's really standing up for the nuclear family. And she doesn't want to be identified as identity 1, identity 2, identity 3, and how we are people and we are human, and we're not to be trivialized down to what these political systems want us to resort to. So the matrix exists to make you forget that you are a quantum creator by keeping you a slave to the system. That's what they want, to keep us a slave to the system, which sustains itself by stifling your life force and dumbing you down. And that's what's coming at us left and right, one distraction at another. And then we have celebrities that'll mesmerize us. So once you realize that you're being distracted, you can see past it. And, a lot of us are like, oh, I want to leave the matrix. I'm going to get out. I'm going to live off grid, but you really can't do that without being a part of it somewhat. You're always going to be tied in some way. But it's when we take our power back that we are unshakable and we strengthen our wills, the more we get empowered. And we are operating inside the matrix, but we are not of the matrix. And that's why it's so important to take our power back. Because when we root so deep into our truth and our wholeness and our connectiveness and our unconditionally loving natures, we are impenetrable to all the ways the system tries to steal our sovereignty and our life force. I mean, we have a lot coming at us. I mean, we've seen from the COVID narrative, it was a test run. And the next is climate change. We're seeing that play out left and right. And it's going to be even more draconian than what we experienced from this COVID shit show, which is unraveling before our eyes, even though they're still trying to hold on to it. And at this recording date, they're still got emergency powers in place. Once they have emergency powers, they're really going to be lax of giving emergency powers up. They don't want to give it up. So a lot of this has been planned a long time, but the will of the people united, they will not win. When our will is so strong and we can't be controlled and we can't be indoctrinated, which is happening left and right, but I think a lot of more people are opening their eyes because we know who we are, and the knowingness protects us from the darkness. So right now we are at a crossroads, and the only way we can change the world is to change ourselves with deep inner work, life-shifting emotional intelligence, radiating positivity, joy, and inspiration, and raising the vibrations here on the planet for the greatest good of all. By regularly applying the tools in our individual lives, every one of us will be able to navigate the world with confidence and with love while inspiring others to do the same. So if you've been feeling, something doesn't feel right, a lot of more people are waking up, and that's the beauty of what is happening. So much has been overlooked because we were consumed with life and asleep to the goings on underneath the surface. We never really looked at it until it was in our face. And that's the good of what has happened over the last couple years, even though The world might have been tossed on its head and flipped upside down for many of us, whether that's been the last couple of years, 6 months, 2 months, 1 month. There's a lot of awakening happening. And with the masculine and feminine energies, we need both. We need to embrace both aspects, the yin and the yang, and, be the change makers. And that change begins within ourselves. So be fearless. Trust yourself and the divine orchestration of your soul, and speak and live your truth. And we do that by letting go of old beliefs and identities that are not in alignment with who we know ourselves to be, and to make that courageous choice despite our fear. So now is the time. There couldn't be a better time. But thank you for listening again. And I'll see you on the next one. I have a lot of great conversations in store for you. And please, if you like what you heard, rate and review, because that helps me bring more content to you. And I'll see you on the next one. Thanks again. Thank you for listening to this week's episode of the Awaken Heart Podcast. If you've enjoyed what you've heard today, share it with a friend. And if you haven't already, head on over to your favorite podcast app to subscribe, rate, and review. If you have any comments, questions, or feedback, you can reach me at theawakenheartpodcast.com.